keep us on time. My name is Mary Ruth Cohenauer, and I'm the Market Development Director at the Oklahoma Department of Agriculture, Food, and Forestry. I am your moderator today. I'm going to be asking our special guests questions and trying to drive that conversation. We have a lot of pre-made questions that I think is going to answer most of what you want to know, but we will absolutely have opportunity for you to ask your questions at the end, or if they are related to a question, please feel free to go ahead and raise your hand and we'll try to get to you. I ask that you be respectful of all of us here, all of our guests speakers, and our listeners today, and make sure that we kind of stay on topic. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce our two guests today. Scott Yates is from the Department of Agriculture as well. He is the Director of Food Safety. And Philip Jarina is a Programs Manager at the Oklahoma State Department of Health. And these two guys are the authority on all things food safety and consumer protection. So we're going to ask them a lot of questions today. Like I said, we'll try to get to all of our normal subjects and we'll open it up at the end. All right. And we're going to try to work with this mic. Just let us know if you can't hear us or something there. Okay. So, Scott, I'm going to send the first question to you. I raise beef cattle and I'm wanting to sell that beef at a farmer's market. How do I go about that? What do I need to do to get started?
In order to sell at a farmer's market, the first thing you'd have to do is take your beef to an inspected plant, whether it's a state inspected plant or a federally inspected plant, and have it inspected all the way through the entire process and have that mark of inspection put on that final label of the product that you're selling. We have a distributor's certificate of registration that you fill out. It's on our website, and send that back into us. The compliance officer will give you a call and visit with you about how you're storing your product. And then after that, from the Department of Agriculture standpoint, you would be free to sell.
So all these custom harvesters that have been packing my meat for years and giving me what I want, I can't sell that meat?
You cannot. Everything that comes from a custom inspector would be marked not for sale. A custom exempt establishment would be marked not for sale. You can if you sell your animal on the hoof. So if you sell your animal alive and contract either whole animal halves or quarters, you can sell that animal that way, but you can't sell it by the individual piece.
So say I go to my inspected state or federal facility and I have all this meat. Philip, what do I need to do to actually sell that meat at the farmer's market?
The simplest way to sell it at a farmer's market would just simply be to get what we call a retail mobile license. And it's because the definition of farmer's market kind of limits the way things can be done there, and so retail mobile allows you to basically back your mobile up. You can set your table out, put your displays there, and just reach around and grab it from the freezer and sell it. It also has the added benefit of you can sell it at some other venues as well. As if for some reason the market's not doing what you want it to, you can still go elsewhere to sell.
Okay, so what if I want to expand my meat options? Are we talking the same kind of regulations for pork and goat and all those other meats I want to do?
Pork, goats, lambs, beef, all of your red meats would be the same. Okay. Poultry has an exemption. You can actually sell poultry from your farm up to 1,000 chickens or 250 turkeys or a combination.
That I slaughtered myself?
That you slaughter yourself. And you can sell those from your farm, but you can't take them to the farmer's market and sell them. But all of your red meat has to go through that inspected process if you're selling individual pieces.
Okay. Any questions about meat before we move on?
Where do you find a distributor certificate?
It's at ag.ok.gov, and then we're under food safety. So over on the right-hand side, if you click on food safety, and then the meat and poultry inspection section.
Okay, and the retail mobile license is the same place?
No, that's from the health department. Or there's cards over here. I'll give you cards and contact me later, and we can take care of it for you.
Thank you.
So you need both of those. Okay. And what was the limit on the poultry?
So it's 1,000 chickens, 250 turkeys, or a combination of chickens and turkeys.
Is that annual or?
Annual, yes.
But that's not enough to sell it at a farmer's market?
In order to sell at a farmer's market, it has to be inspected. So, and we have one inspected poultry plant in the state, and that's at Shakota.
Okay, now if somebody called you and wanted, and they were gonna say, I want 5 chickens, but you could meet them at the market?
You
and
can.
order, and you can do it that way?
That's correct. You can do it by orders, but you can't take them and set them on display and sell them that way.
Do you have to have a refrigeration truck, or can you have a cooler to transport or mobile?
Or you'd want a refrigeration truck. Yeah, it's gotta be something that's not gonna be dependent on whether they ice melt or anything.
Do you know if the regulations vary from state to state,
As far as
like selling meat in Texas?
if you're from Oklahoma and you want to go to Texas and sell, for your red meats and your poultry, it would have to be a federally inspected establishment. And then I think health department's probably.
Texas is like a whole other country. It's so big, it's more of a regional department, so there are areas where it's almost like no man's land, and I couldn't speak for their regulations.
I want to see if we can clarify the question on the truck. You actually don't have to sell out of the truck, is that right? You just have to transport
Be able to
that?
store, or for all intents and purposes, your retail mobile, it's your portable warehouse. It's, I think is we'd want you to have like a DC converter, so when you get home, you plug it into the wall, and it's just like a deep freeze at that point.
Any other questions about meat? Okay, next question I'm gonna send to Philip. I want to do samples at my booth at the farmer's market of products that I had. What do I need to do to make sure I'm keeping people safe and meeting the regulations?
Well, the regulations really don't cover free samples. If you're giving something away for free, it's beyond our control. Now, we are going to preach good policy to you because even if you're giving away for free, you make people sick, it's going to come back on your business name as well. So you want to treat it just the same way as you would. The people at Walmart who always give you like the cookies and samples and stuff, or the setup like they have is kind of what you want, where they have gloves, they're making samples, it's all being protected by like a cake dish or something to cover it up. I think you want to wash your hands before you put the gloves on, because if you're unloading all this product and your hands are all dirty and you put gloves on, you've contaminated the gloves. You might as well have done it just barehanded. But the thing is, if you're giving it away, we just want you to practice some good common sense tactics to keep people from touching the product. That's the main thing we're after.
Any other questions about sampling at a farmer's market? Yes, sir.
That would apply to any food product sold at the farmer's market?
Yeah, well, theoretically, the meat products, obviously, you're probably not going to be given a sample of steak tartare there, but yeah. Yeah, theoretically, it would apply to all of them.
But if you cooked it ahead of time?
That's when you start getting into the weird stuff, because if you're cooking it, then you're preparing it at your house, and we don't know how many cats you may have and all these other things. We prefer it all to be done there. That way, it's transparent for the customers as well.
But could be cooked there in front?
Oh, yes, yeah. Well, actually, we step back from that. It depends on whether the facility is properly constructed. If it's some of the farmers markets are nothing more than a bunch of carports together, it seems like that I'd have a little bit more issue. But if it's fully enclosed and the fire marshal's good with it, because there's other rules and laws that you have to follow as well.
So I'd like to get this straight about samples at the market. As long as you have a place to be able to wash your hands and you're using gloves, the county health department inspectors are not going to mess with you?
They're not supposed to. If they do, or my card's up here, you can give me a ring and we'll find out what's going on. Because a lot of these things, they tend to be more of a misunderstanding. Either the inspector's new or the inspector they haven't been to the market in 6 months, and so they forget the process.
Yeah, we're right next to
Yeah.
the health department, so it makes it.
Okay, yeah, so you see where you are. But I'm just saying that from my experience, most of the trouble that I've run into and inspectors I've worked with have run into in farmers market, it's simply, it's a miscommunication issue. One person read something slightly different than the other, and nobody wants to give an inch. And a lot of times it's just coming to a middle point and finding a safe solution for it is what we're after.
But if somebody complains to the health department, then the inspector will be out
They're-
there because they're required.
They're supposed to go out and look, but once again, they're supposed to go out and say, okay, you're doing everything the way you should, and it's free, so I have no authority over this.
But a lot of farmers markets may be in locations that don't have ready access to be able to wash your hands. So if you have that situation, you probably shouldn't do samples.
You probably shouldn't, or that wouldn't be something I would advise, but once again, if you're giving it away, it's beyond our authority.
Tandy, can you, and this may be a
Yeah,
Philip
yeah.
question as well, the hand washing stations that we set up that are health department approved at the state fair, can you explain how you do those?
Yeah, for sure. So at the Oklahoma State Fair, we have a Made in Oklahoma store. And with that store, we do give out samples to the public. One of the things that we use for hand washing stations are those big igloo, like tea pitchers that you see at like athletic games or big potlucks. And we have a hot water source, so we actually use a coffee pot that we keep running with hot water, and then we dump that hot water into that hand washing station. And then underneath the igloo cooler, we have a 5-gallon bucket that collects all the excess water. We dump that out every so many hours, and then we have soap sitting next to it so that people can use the soap and wash their hands. In Oklahoma County, that's worked for us. It's passed inspection. That's in Oklahoma County.
And things that should work statewide.
Okay, other questions? Yes, ma'am.
We prepare like baked goods, and we gave samples away at first of our farmers market in the little pre-packed little sample cover, and we prepared those at home. So we were told we couldn't do that.
Are you operating under the Home Baking Act, or, okay, if you're operating under the Home Baking Act, the health inspector has no control over you until you hit $20,000 or start adding meat products or other stuff, because then you fall into our authority at that point.
What about a special event? Because I was at the pecan festival, and we do canned jellies and jams, and she came up and said, we can't sell them there. I could go across the street and sell them, but I couldn't sell them at the special event. I could sell them at farmer's market, I could sell them on the side of the road. But why not at a-
Homemade goods,
Yeah.
it's because it's in the statute. It specifically lists down 4 or 5 locations as the only place you can sell.
And
So, but
special events aren't
Special events are
in the
not.
statute, yeah.
Do you know what the statute references to that one?
will that ever be changed? Because I found it ridiculous that I literally could have walked directly across the street and sold, but I couldn't, I mean, literally from me to you.
Right.
And I could have sold, but I couldn't there at the event. I'm just like, that was,
It's because it wasn't the farmer's market. It was
so
something
that
else.
is there any
That's-
hope that could change?
That's beyond my control as well.
Can the city of Luther do an amendment for their special event?
So that is a state statute. The Home Bakery Act is a state statute that it's entitled to. Tanny, I don't know if you can help me out with the other one there, but we can do that after if you would like. I would suggest that talking to someone who has control of state statutes, which would be a legislator, would be able to help you out there.
Yeah, and I think Philip, I think I can speak for him on this. All we can do is regulate what's in front of us as far as the statutes go, and we do our best to just do that. And we try, we don't get to write them, we just get to regulate them.
And the Senate bill that is the Home Baking Act is 508.
And that was in 2013, that was last amended.
I have a question about that, because there was another bill passed that just came into effect November 1st of last year that had some areas that caused real gray understanding about whether or not the Home Baking Act was, like this new law trumped aspects of the Home Baking Act, especially when it came to selling at farm markets, that you would have to have a 3-day license in order to sell your home-baked products at the farm market. I just talked to Cleveland County Farm Market about it about 2 months ago, and they didn't know what they were gonna do about it, because it sounded like they were gonna have to.
They probably need to consult the health department, but it's not a
call
trouble.
because there's really been no appreciable change to farmer's market in the last year.
We got a question. As far as the Home Bakers Act, if one of us is certified, we have a partnership in our farm. If one of us is certified, does that cover for the whole farm, or should we both be certified?
There is no certification for the Home Baking Act, but I would need more information to really give.
I haven't taken the course.
Yeah, but there's no certification. You can be a fifth grade graduate or PhD, there's no certification.
If I'm
It's
quick,
just-
does she cook? And, you know.
So we'll go ahead and address
Yeah.
the Home Bakers Act
Yeah.
right now. We'll
That's
skip
okay.
ahead. There is no certification for that. Tandy, if you want to explain the Home Bakers Act and how that FAFSA course works.
For sure. So the course that you're talking about, we'll start with that. That is just an informational course. It's not a certificate course. So to sell under the Home Baking Act, there are no license requirements, no certifications. There are just rules that you have to follow. So the first rule is that you cannot have a gross income of your baked goods that exceed $20,000. That $20,000 is not $20,000 in cupcakes, $20,000 in cakes. It is $20,000 in total for all of the baked good items that you are selling at your location. The second is that your product cannot contain fresh fruit or meat. So fresh fruit means that you can still bake your apple pie because those apples are then baked at traditional times and temperatures, so they're no longer considered fresh. If you are doing like a strawberry cupcake and you want to take a fresh strawberry from your garden and put on the top to make it look pretty, use it as a garnish, that is not allowed under the Home Baking Act. The third rule is that the location as to which you can sell is very specific. So you can sell from your home, you can sell online, you can sell at a farmer's market, and you can sell at a food co-op or a food buying club, food-based buying club, and you can sell from your home. I think I said that. Those are the only locations that you can sell at. So a craft festival does not fall under the Home Baking Act. Setting up outside of your local Walmart to sell does not qualify under the Home Baking Act. Grocery stores, gas stations, stuff like that does not qualify. And when it says the location from your home, that means the location where your baked good item was produced. So if you make it at your house, you can't go to your neighbor's house and sell it, technically under the Home Baking Act. And then the last rule, and I'll get to your question after that, is your product has to have a label on it. So that label has to have the name and the address of the home baker where the baked good was produced at. It has to have the name of the baked good item, so chocolate chip cookies, and then it has to have the statement, this was produced in the kitchen, not licensed by the State Department of Health. So if you want to sell under the Home Baking Act, you have to follow those rules. So the Home Baking Act also is for traditional baked good items. So cookies, cakes, scones, cupcakes would all qualify. Dog treats, candy, granola does not qualify under the Home Baking Act.
So, Scott, I have a beef herd right now that you know, but I might want to add some dairy cattle. How do I go about selling milk from my farm?
There's a couple ways you can go about doing that. You can sell your pasteurized milk from your farm and be licensed through us, or you can also sell your raw milk from your farm and from your farm only without going through the pasteurization process.
Okay. What if I want to take that into town and sell it at the farmer's market?
Has to be pasteurized, and you have to be certified through us in order to do that, in order for that milk to leave your farm.
And how do I get certified?
You contact our department and our dairy services program, and I would send out one of our inspectors to have a long, lengthy talk with you.
And does that apply to all kinds of milk?
Yes, whether it's goat,
What about almond milk?
does not include almond milk,
Animal milk?
and animal milk from, yes.
Is there a limit on the gallons off your farm of raw milk? I heard there was 100 gallons.
I can't think of a limit. The only limitation that I know of is that you can't advertise that you're selling raw milk. And
So you just say goat's milk or whatever, and it can't say raw.
you can't advertise that you're selling unprocessed milk.
You need to tell your consumer that it is raw. You
Yes,
can't put out an advertisement.
right.
So can I'm sorry, I'm trying to not integrate.
It-
So I can say I'm selling goat's milk.
Yes,
I just don't
Yes,
I agree with that.
yes.
But I just wanted to make sure what I was hearing.
Give my office a call, because I don't want to tell you the wrong thing on that part, because I am a little bit unsure of myself now. You've made me question myself.
How about butter or cheese?
It'd be the same process. Yep.
I would like to point out that if you sell unpasteurized milk, it doesn't keep you from getting sued if somebody gets sick. That's the reason we pasteurize milk. So
Right.
you have a liability if you're selling raw milk because of the diseases that it carries. So people have to decide whether they want to take that risk.
Yes, very much so.
Well, delivery, like with the chickens, you could go ahead and deliver that to the market?
No,
As long as it's cool or just,
no.
okay,
Yeah, only pasteurized.
okay.
But raw milk sales have to come directly from the farm. The way it was explained to me is so you as a consumer who's wanting to buy raw milk can see how the cows live, where they live. If they're walking through 2 foot of manure, then you might want to question whether or not that's milk you want to drink.
Philip, is there anything that the health department has to do with milk selling at a farmer's market?
Not at a farmer's market.
Okay. Obviously, we want to keep that cool at a
Yes.
farmer's market.
Right.
Okay, moving on. Let's talk about my grandma's salsa and green beans that I think are the best that ever happened, and I want to sell them, but I really don't want to go anywhere that I have to take all my ingredients somewhere and go make that in a kitchen. What can I do?
You can't sell it at farmer's market. Or to sell any type of canned products such as salsa or jelly or any of that, you have to, or things you have to have a manufacturing license through the state. And specifically for salsa, since it's an acidified program, or since the food's acidified, it's something that you're going to have the recipe validated. If it's typically they go through they go through Stillwater up here, but there are places outside the state that do it as well. The license to have a manufacturing license is $425 for the first year, and then $335 for each additional year. The thing is, you can sell at farmers markets with that. You can also sell to third parties to sell in grocery stores. You can sell online. You can do all those sales venues, because at that point you're a full-fledged business, and you're just like, or things you're just like one of the big manufacturers at that point. It's just a smaller setup. The key is you cannot make it in your house. You have to either find a commercial location to do it in, or you need to build like a separate building next to your house, and that's a separate kitchen to prepare that in. And what I always tell people is it's basically meant, or the kitchen's meant as a place that you're not going to be wandering through at 2 o'clock in the morning looking for a cookie when you're in your bathroom. It's a separate place of business, and it can be locked down and kept separate. So
No
all
cats
the product, yeah, it's a place that can be kept separate and clean. That way, all the food coming out of it, it's all commercial grade.
How about on your own property? Can you sell this stuff on your own property?
Nope.
Where do you get this manufacturing?
You would contact the state office, and we will walk you through the process, because we have to make sure. Or for salsa and jelly, it'd be the health department.
So, what's my best practice? Should I just build this kitchen and then have you guys come out and
No,
inspect it?
absolutely not. That's usually what happens. It's like, hey, I want to do this. I have a building. I want to do it this weekend. Can you come license me? We get out there and nothing's painted. It's all bare plywood, dirt floor sometimes. Or things you don't want to do. These are spur of the moment things. These need to be a planned out action. It's because you're putting some money into this, so you don't just want to jump off the cliff and just hope there's a parachute. You want to actually step through it. And the manufacturing group, my 5 staff, we will actually walk you through most of this stuff for free. It's just whenever you're ready to commit, that's when we got to do the plan review, and we're taking the big step. But if you're just calling us with questions, please call us with questions. We would rather let you know what's going on first, so you can make an educated decision before you or before you spend the money and make all this effort.
Yes, ma'am.
Does that include bone broth?
Bone broth would maybe be you. More likely, you would have to have a manufacturing license, but I've never dealt with bone broth.
I think it'd be an FDA product. I think that would be an FDA product. because I can't.
Do you know if there are any legislative action on changing the cottage law in Oklahoma? Because it gets very discouraging for us about going to Texas and seeing their cottage law is different. I know we changed the Baker law, but is there any bills this year in our legislature having to do with changing it?
There are quite a few, but I can't speak to that because that's going to be their decision that they need to hash out at the Capitol.
Yeah.
Or stuff like that's beyond my level. I'm just here to enforce the rules as they now stand.
So it'd be a great idea to contact your legislators to ask about those bills. You can also search those online and see what you like and don't like and talk to them about that. Any other questions about that manufacturer? Yes.
Saw a vendor that's trying to get certified this time, and she's been told that she has to take each individual product, her pickles, her hot pickles, or
Jelly.
bread and butter pickles, each kind of jelly, has to go through OSU and be tested at $750 a product. Is that correct?
For the pickled items, yes, not for the jellies. Jellies are exempt, but for pickles, it's because the recipe for each one is different. The amount of vinegar to each one may be different. The size of the cut of the vegetable may be different. So each one is a separate distinct process, and it should be validated.
Is that all pickled products?
It's all acidified products, so yes, all pickled products.
Is that for each batch?
No, that's for each recipe. So like if you have like the sweet pickle recipe to die for, that one would be the one you validate, then the dill pickle would be as well.
And do they have to be pressure canned? Because most of the time you do pickles hot water bath canning, but she was told they had to be pressure canned.
They technically are pressure canned at that point because the difference in the cooling, or things, whenever it cools off, it's going to vacuum back anyway.
Also, another vendor who would like to make salsa, which you just addressed, but if she sells it fresh, it's not canned, if she sells it fresh.
She's still going to have a license from us, but everything, she has a very, very short shelf life on it at that point, like 7 days, and it's trash. And it's got to be refrigerated. There's got to be hurdles to keep it safe. It couldn't just be a jar of salsa that sits on a table for 7 days. It would have to be kind of like the potato salad container for a salsa.
There was a question in the back before we go.
I have a lot of vendors that use co-packers to make their jellies or salsas and everything. What should I require from them to give to me, like in terms of like licensing? Should I be like, can I have your co-packer information or?
But to sell at farmers market,
Yeah.
they're supposed to have a warehouse to store that because or there's very few co-packers that are going to let you pick up 1 case of jelly at a time. They're going to want to give you like 20 cases of jelly, and the 20 cases of jelly can't be stored in the spare bedroom where the cat sleeps. It's got to be kept in a place that we can actually look at to make sure it's being kept safe and being kept clean.
So what's that license called?
It's just a warehouse license.
A warehouse
But for those people, if it's a smaller vendors who do the co-packer, I would strongly suggest that they get a retail mobile because they can sell at the markets, they can also deliver, they can sell at fairs. It covers the whole gambit of stuff, and basically the trunk of their car is their portable warehouse for that. It's just you got to take the oil can and the gas and all that stuff out and have it separated.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions about manufacturing process?
What about kombucha? Where would that
Fermented
go?
products.
It's a fermented product, so you wouldn't have to do a process authority on it. I'd really be interested in seeing one though, because that stuff scares me, but. But they just still have to have a manufacturing license to commercially make it and sell it.
General rule of thumb, when you're processing that food, correct me if I'm wrong, gentlemen, if you are doing something to change that food to make it a value-added product, if it is not a raw vegetable or a cut of meat that's been stored, it requires some type of manufacturing license.
And you do it.
Health department,
Health department.
yep, has manufacturing license, absolutely.
Okay, I have a question. Do you need the manufacturing license if you have access to a commercial kitchen?
Yes, you would still need one because, or the license is for the business and the person. So, so if you were using a donut shop that this gentleman right here owned, and you were going in there making jelly on Tuesday night, or then Tuesday night, that's your business, so you have to have all the legal documents to go with it.
So the biggest part of that, and Philip can certainly jump in here, that I would really like everybody to remember that all of these are set in place to protect consumers. So we require businesses to register in case that consumer, which they frequently get calls, the health department calls and says, this made me sick. Now, many of the times your product did not make them sick. They was probably the Taco Bell they ate on the way out, right? So this really protects you. If there's a traceback system that they can go and say, well, we inspected the kitchen, we know their license, it wasn't that product, we found nothing. So it really is in your best interest to protect yourself, and if you're owning a business, you know about liability insurance and how terrifying that subject is. And so if you have those licenses, manufacturing license, commercial kitchens, all of that you can trace back to and prove that you were not the one that sickened the people. And if you've never taken a restaurant manager's course or anything like that, you should, because it will terrify you of all the people that call in and say your place made me sick. And as you know, that can shut your business down in a real big hurry. And if you don't have the money to fight that attorneys and courts and all of that kind of stuff, you might not be able to start that business again. So it really is about consumer protection, but it's also about you as a small business owner protection as well. Any other questions about manufacturing before we move on? Okay, we covered kombucha, but let's address lemonade, mixed teas, things like that. All falling under that same manufacturer's license, right, or no?
But you wanting to sell at farmers market.
Yes.
Yes, if you're packaging it, if you have containers of lemonade that are packaged, then yes, that'd be a manufacturing license. But the way I interpreted the question was to set up a lemonade stand at the farmer's market. And the answer is no. You'd have to have you'd have to have a mobile unit, and that's because just the definition of farmer's market doesn't really allow for it. It's supposed to be a place where you sell packaged items and whole fruit and vegetables. If you happen to bring the taco van in and they're selling lemonade, that's fine, because that's a licensed establishment that just happens to be parked in the parking lot of the farmer's market. It's a way for farmers markets to kind of add things without actually changing what the farmer's market is.
I have a question. I got a pumpkin patch. Can my kids sell lemonade, fresh squeezed lemonade at the pumpkin patch?
Technically, no, but I would not go after them, and if I had one of the inspectors throw a fit about it, I would probably have some nice words with them in private, because that's kind of like picking on the lemonade stand on the street corner. A couple kids make them. I mean, probably not the safest thing, not the best thing, but at some point you have to practice sense, and I think sometimes we lose that. We're so blinded by rule.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, this right here, this is something we could talk to these people and maybe find a better way to do this without throwing a big fit about it and causing issues with it.
What if you cook food like a breakfast burrito at a market and you cook it on the side and you give it away for donation?
Donations get tricky because if I have to give you a donation to get that burrito, then I've paid for it. So it's a slippery slope. That goes on more often than you would think. And the thing is, I'm not sure about the business plan. If you're making a whole bunch of breakfast burritos and giving them away, I'm not sure how much it's kind of.
It's to raise money for community projects. That money, there's a sign there and says.
Oh, so basically, it's a nonprofit group raising money.
Yes. It's like a member of the market volunteering to do that.
Some of that's going to come down to what the farmers market themselves are going to allow, but we would probably see that as preparing food on site and serving, and we wouldn't. There had to be some better way of doing it, because there's no way to give a temporary license to prepare on site at a farmer's market. It just doesn't work with the rules.
What if it's like kids selling bottled water out of a cooler?
Once again, it's technically not supposed to happen. If the inspectors are picking that fight, I'm probably going to have a couple words with them to try to tone them down. It's something that the market could probably deal with at that point without causing a fuss.
Other questions about this before we move on? Excellent conversation. Let's see, let's talk about honey. There's lots of roadside honey sales, and there's sales of honey at market, and then there's grocery store sales. Can you tell us a little bit about how to sell your honey properly?
Depends on how much you make and whether your bees know what side of the state line they're on. But no, that's, yeah. If you're a local, or if you're a local beekeeper and you produce less than 500 gallons of honey or per year, the thing is, you actually can bottle and sell that without any without any license from us. But it's limited to certain venues. It's similar to the Home Baking Act, but it's farmers markets, county fairs is actually county fairs is in that one. Roadside stands, I believe, is in there, and then the beekeeper's residence. But the thing is, you have to label it, or the label should say it's produced in an establishment that's not inspected by the health department. The law does not say where it should be labeled, but once again, good common sense, do not put the label on the bottom, because we're probably gonna call you out, because if you can't see that, you have to turn the jar over to see that or came from a place that's not inspected by the health department. That's kind of deceptive, and that does happen. But to sell in a third-party place, such as a gift store or a grocery store, you have to have a license from us, and we have to inspect it or the production facilities at least one time a year.
What does the license cost?
Same as all the others, $425 to start out, $335 to follow up.
Other questions about honey? We haven't talked about eggs. Scott, can you tell us a little about how do I sell eggs from my farm? And then how do I take them to town?
Okay, from your farmers, it's very simple. You can advertise, and as long as people are willing to drive to your farm and pick them up, you can sell them all day, and it doesn't cost you anything. It just asks that you do it in a sanitary manner. If you're selling off of the farm, if you're delivering to your office where you work or to church, which we see quite a bit, we ask that you, well, it's actually required, we ask, but it is required that you get that egg dealer's license, and it's $50 a year. And it's $50 every year, and you just have to keep renewing.
Is there a verification to getting a license? Do you guys have to check the farm?
If you request us to come out, we will, and teach you how to grade if you would like that information.
Do you have candlelight and label or stamp?
You do not. If like I said, if you request us to come out, more than willing to send out an inspector to do that, but it's not a normal practice. We do have all the egg grading, like how to grade eggs, and we can send those packets out to you, and we do pretty frequently. You just have to call and ask for them.
Does that include farmers markets?
Yes, if you're selling at a farmer's market, you have to have a license. That is correct. Yep.
Is that the egg dealer's license?
Yeah, it's the same. There's just that one individual license.
But that license entails that you have new cartons, the eggs are washed,
Yeah.
refrigerated.
Yes.
Expiration date.
Expiration date. There's a couple other requirements that you have to follow along with that license, correct?
Yes.
So you have to have sufficient refrigerator space.
If you're on the fresh eggs, I don't remember having the refrigerating requirement in there in the law.
From our side, it's basically just, they just have to be received at proper temperature, and it doesn't really get into what proper temperature is.
Yeah.
And I do know in Europe, they just leave eggs out.
Right.
But there's other health things that they've done over there that kind of makes that whole.
Again, if you call the office, I can put you into the person that is their job. Okay. And they can get into the more specific answers on that. Kind of like the dairy.
Excellent. We have just a few minutes to wrap up here. Is there a topic we didn't cover that you would like to see if we know the answer?
Straight up produce, like is there any, you would just take whatever to the market?
As long as it has not been chopped up and processed in any way, if it's been picked, washed, and ready to sell, it's beyond our control. It's a little bit in theirs.
It is in ours if you're over $25,000 in annual sales. then it would require inspection, but if you're under $25,000 in annual sales, it would not.
What about game birds, pheasant, quail?
That would be that's a long discussion, but, well, I take that back, it'd be farm raised.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah,
I have a lot of questions.
So I'm understanding then you can't cut up your lettuce to make a salad mix?
No.
Right.
Back there.
Can you, like, say a vendor brought a watermelon and cut it up for samples?
For samples, yes, you can, because it's free once again.
Okay.
Now,
If
we
they're
would
all
ask you to
selling
keep
one-
it, it's the same thing. We would ask you to keep it cold, obviously, practice some good sense with it, don't, yeah, there's different things that we would preach to you, but we couldn't actually force it on you.
Don't sell the cut watermelon.
Yeah, that's a good.
Yep.
Right here.
Can I go back to salad mix for just a
Mhm.
minute? What if you were actually sowing the salad mix seeds and all you're doing is picking it and putting it in a container? You're not cutting it, you're not doing anything to it, all you're doing is harvesting it.
Sounds like microgreens.
Yeah.
Are you doing microgreens or are you trying to like salad mix? Because,
No, they're just like regular mix, you buy the seed already in a mix, you just sow the mix so you've got arugula in there and you've got iceberg, and you've got red leaf, etc. And all you're doing is harvesting it and putting it in a container. So you're not cutting, you're not, chopping stuff up
Yeah.
and making like what you buy at the grocery. You're just harvesting the mix as it grows.
I can't think of anything because all you're doing is, so you're pulling, for instance, if you're going to put cucumbers, you're putting a whole cucumber in the bag with the lettuce, a whole carrot in.
Well,
No, she's talking about like mustard
Just the
greens,
greens.
like mixed
just going.
Just the greens?
Just
Yeah.
greens, they're just being harvested.
But can you pick it, harvest it, and put it in like a plastic bag with a twist tie on it? I think that's maybe what you're asking.
Once you're getting into that, you are moving into more packaging, especially with all the recalls on spinach and lettuce and all that. I would have a hard time giving blessing to that because that's been the biggest recall item we've had in the past 4 or 5 years. Every
To me,
single
I'm
year.
kind of thinking like, to me, it doesn't seem different than if you're just planting like, say, an iceberg lettuce or a butter lettuce, and you're just
Oh, yeah.
carrying out and harvesting it that way, because you're still gonna put it in a clamshell, right?
Yeah.
But, so to me, in my mind, the green mix is the same thing, you're harvesting the whole thing, you're not cutting, you're just harvesting it. It's probably a fine line. right?
Yeah, that gets to be about the finest of the lines. I would really tell people to stay away from that area because there are so many recalls, and all it takes is that one recall to just devastate your business. But if you're really sure you want to do it, get one of my cards and we'll figure out if it's possible and what would or the steps that would entail. So.
On the wall over here.
I'm sorry if you've addressed this, I can't, pecans, I know I can sell them from my farm. If I get them cracked someplace else, what does that cost?
It's the same license for all our major licenses, $425 for the first year, $335 for the following year. For pecan crackers, the only time you need them is if you're cracking them to then bag them commercially to sell. If you're a small-time pecan cracker, the way to get around it is you sell them the whole pecan, because we don't cover that, and you crack it for a service. And technically at that point, you're not within our control.
Yes.
Yeah, back to the greens, if you don't mind real quick. I know it's a common item
Yeah.
at markets, bags, salad mix, closed or not closed, twist tie or not. But my understanding is that it has been always, if it's marketed as a not ready to eat food, just like any other piece of produce that needs to be washed at home and prepared in any other way
Yeah.
that you would with any produce, that it's almost as legitimate as anything else.
But that's the reason I was saying I'd have a hard time giving a solid answer, and because that's where it gets fuzzy. But but I do agree with what you're saying, that it's just there's been so many recalls on it that's one of those things, one of the ones you want to really be careful on because it is so dangerous.
Right here.
Is it possible to sell a plant
with fruit on it that's in its own growth medium. So you have.
Yeah, we would,
tomatoes.
like a can, yeah, we would control that may be under you guys, under your
It-
nursery license.
Maybe under nursery, yeah.
Yeah, it's just like if you're lucky and you go buy your strawberry plants to plant, you're like, ooh, wow, I got a free strawberry, because it already went that, it's just a bonus for the customer at that point.
So you have to have a nursery license?
It's, yeah, for sprouting and selling that, that's through them.
Yeah, through CPS.
If I'm like starting up a farmer's market or becoming a manager, where would I go or what would I do to find out what I'm responsible for and what I need to do?
You would talk to this man right over here.
So market development is the division in the Department of Ag that handles that. Tandy has handled that. His duties are shifting a little bit, but we have people that can answer that for you. And we register farmers markets in the state, and we have promotion for those farmers markets, but we also will help you through that process. We can get you in contact with the people like health department or food safety that you need to. So please call Market Development Division, and we can give you cards afterwards too. Great. Second, somebody else have a question? No? Oh, okay.
How about shelled peas?
Shelled peas.
Peas, purple peas.
Once again, once you start, or things, once you start to manipulate the whole produce, then it gets into becoming the manufacturing.
The shells, most of them are open.
Oh, at that point, it's where, the thing is, we probably wouldn't be involved in that. I've had people where they actually wanted to crack the beans and do all that. At that point, you're preparing it. But if it's something where the husk of the thing already cracks open and they fall out, then I mean, it's the same as a pecan falling out of a husk in a tree. So it just.
Time for one more question. Yes, sir.
On the fact of the beef, the whole beef and quarters, would that be USDA inspected if you sell to restaurants or chefs?
Yes. Yes.
State or federal?
State or federal. Yeah, state if you're selling inside the state of Oklahoma, federal if you're selling outside of the state of Oklahoma.
Good question.
Can you transfer your livestock over state lines, have it processed and bring it back in?
Yes. Well,
Thank you. Oh, go ahead.
I'll catch up with you.